Welcome to Brandywine School District Board of Education. Tonight is our regular meeting, Monday, February 12th, 2024. We are live in the Brandywine High School auditorium, also broadcasting via Zoom. Ms. Harris, may I please have a roll call?
Mr. Scrobot.
Here.
Ms. Pigeon. Here. Mr. Ackerman.
Present.
Mr. Heller.
Here.
Reverend Dickerson. Here. Ms. Stock. Here. Dr. Jagaday. Here. All present.
Thank you, Ms. Harris. At this time, I would like to invite Mount Pleasant Junior Colin Shahan to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this evening. Colin is representing Scout Troop 99, working towards his communications badge in efforts toward his Eagle Scout. Colin, take it away.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Colin. Eagle Scout is a major milestone. A lot of work and effort goes into that. Congratulations on all your hard work and efforts. This time I'll entertain a motion to approve this evening's agenda.
So moved. Second.
Who's the first? Ms. Pigeon there?
Yes.
Ms. Pigeon, second. Reverend Dickerson. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. That will lead us into our high school reports, starting with Brandywine High School this evening, Lola Fenning and Katie Grant. Come on down.
Hello, I'm Katie Grant. I'm the vice president here at Brandywine. Unfortunately, Lola had to work today, so she could not be here. So starting off, our freshman breakfast had over 131 students who were invited to participate. This honored freshmen who received no referrals and have also made the honor roll. Secondly, we held our first ever drive to 2.5 celebration. Over 200 10th and 11th graders were invited. It was a lot of fun. And lastly, the MTSS committee held a Winter Wonderland and Grandma's Den themed event for students. They invited over 600 students, and this was for students who had no late absences, and they provided hot cocoa and stuff. It was also, I heard it was a lot of fun. Secondly, I want to congratulate Rachel Bachrath. She broke 2 records in swimming and she's qualified for Olympic trials. So she'll be competing in the same pool as Katie Ledecky to try to make the Olympic team. And again, with the swim team, our relay broke 2 records. For basketball, the boys won their bracket at the Wildwood Boardwalk Basketball Classic. So good job. The girls have surpassed their win total from last year and continue to improve for girls basketball as well, which is always great. And lastly, the wrestling team continues to grow, and they have quite a few wrestlers preparing for the state tournament, which is awesome. And lastly, the prom fashion show was a successful fundraiser for the seniors. The seniors got to walk runway style and all the prom dresses and stuff. Very cool. Our Samsung Solve for Tomorrow team are state winners for the 2nd time in a row. Congratulations. The gaming club held their first ever Smash tournament. It looked like a lot of fun. It was on a Saturday. They got a really big turnout, which is great that they're getting that started. And the Honor Society celebrated 120 inductees to multiple honor societies, which is great and shows how well we're doing academically here at Brandywine High School, which is great. Yeah, so I think that's all. Thank you.
In that relay, right?
Any questions or comments from the board?
Katie, did you neglect, you were in the relay also that broke the state record, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. I'm sorry. I didn't know.
That's okay. Congratulations.
Next up, that'll bring Concord High School, Rochelle Patel and Katie Frampton.
Good evening, board members and Brandywine School District members. I'm the Vice President of our Student Council, Katie Frampton. Each month, we come up here to update you on the upcoming events at our school. We will save our traditional slideshow pictures for the next board meeting, because today, we want to focus on one thing in particular that has garnered passionate efforts from hundreds of students at our school, the referendum.
I'm sure that you've heard enough of numbers and statistics from these men and women in suits right here. But we want to give you a student perspective on the Brandywine School District referendum that is tomorrow. So here's a video made entirely by Concord students that was shown to all students in our school last Friday as a message from us to educate the district about the referendum.
Hi, we're the students of Concord High School. This video is completely student-made. Hi, we're the students of Concord High School. This video is completely student-made to update you about the upcoming referendum on February 13th. Since we know you have a very short attention span like us, I'll help you out.
So a referendum is a direct vote where any adult American citizens living within our school district bounds vote to increase property taxes to fund the operation of our school district. This time around, if passed, it will cost the average homeowner $15 per month in additional property taxes for the first year and $12 per month in the second.
It can either pass with residents voting for BSD and the district will get needed funding, or it can fail with residents voting against BSD and the district will have a much more limited budget than will get cut every year. This referendum is an operational referendum, meaning that it will provide funding for the day-to-day operations of the district, not for anything new.
If the referendum on February 13th doesn't pass, there will be major cuts. Your favorite teachers' jobs may all be in danger in a time where it's impossible to find a new teacher. 117 staff members' positions are all at risk. Here's what could happen to those teachers. The music programs or pathways like engineering or marketing or sports that you participate in will likely be defunded or terminated. If you stay after school and catch the activity bus at 5 p.m., those would also most likely be terminated as well. Our spectacular and inclusive special education program will also be in danger.
If our district is funded less, then the surrounding property value is going to go way down. So this is an investment in your home. Even for the adults who don't send their kids to public school. In 2025, BSD will see about $6.5 million of cuts. And in 2027, that number will rise to $8.5 million. And your education will be affected every day. While teachers and BSD staff can't legally tell others how to vote, you sure can.
So let's face it, your future and the future of 10,400 other students are depending on you getting your parents, aunts, uncles, grandparents, and even your neighbors' votes on February 13th. This might be the most important vote they have ever cast in their life.
One of the clauses of the Appoquinimink School District referendum did not pass just by 4 votes. 4 votes. Every single vote matters, and it's going to affect you more than anyone else. So fight for yourself and get the referendum to pass.
So how can you help? You can help by following the Concord Student Council or Make a Change Club Instagram accounts, or contacting Rochelle Patel, Katie Frampton, Otis Biddell, or Elizabeth Garrity on Instagram. We will be posting many flyers around the school and promoting this in as many ways as we possibly can. For you to help even more, you can post why you will vote #4BSD on social media. And here's how you can do it. If you are 18 or older and a U.S. citizen, you are eligible to vote. Voting times will take place from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. in any Brandywine School District school, except for Harlan Elementary. Yes, even your school.
To vote, all you need is identification such as a passport or a driver's license. For those who can vote in high school, please come to the stairs at February 13th after school 2:18, so we can all vote and unify as one. If you can't vote at this time, please try voting from anywhere from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. If you can't vote, please try getting at least 10 people to go and vote yes. Whether it's your parents, grandparents, neighbors, aunts, and uncles, please try getting at least 10 people to vote. If only 50 people are able to get 10 people each to vote, we'll get a staggering 500 more votes to be able to win this election.
On February 13th, from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., take 5 minutes out of your day to fight for BSD. Even if you are a senior, fight for this referendum as a thank you for the education the district has provided you over the years. get 10 adults in your life, at least 10 adults, to vote for BSD. Or meet us at 2:18 p.m. to vote together and show unity. To fight for
Asian American Cultural Association.
For our football team.
For theater.
For the GSA.
For our baseball team.
For our music programs.
For the marketing department.
For the art department.
For Concord basketball.
For a track and field team.
For orchestra.
For our engineering department.
For music and sports.
For our band.
For the Muslim Student Association.
For Concord wrestling.
For those whose voices have yet to be heard, and especially for BSD.
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 For BSD. For BSD.
Fight for the 774 teachers and 398 other staff members who work harder than they get paid for every single day just because they love you. Fight for the 10,401 students just like me whose education depends on this referendum and all those to come after them. Fight for yourself, for Thank you, guys. All we ask for is that you take 5 minutes out of your day to go out and vote tomorrow. Thank you very much for your time. Any questions?
I know we've said this before, but I'm just blown away at your social and civic engagement in this process. I've never seen students take such an interest in a referendum. I've lived here my entire life. So hats off to you guys. Have done a great job. You know, you're passionate about what you do and the experiences that you've had and the opportunities provided to you within the district and during the course of your education. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Where can we find the link to the video?
Sorry.
Where can we find the link to the video?
That's a great question.
It's on the Concord website, the Facebook page, and I think Brandywine posted it on the Facebook page as well.
I think I saw that on an Instagram or something.
It's also on the Concord High School Instagram.
Yes.
And the Friends of BSD 2024 page.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, last but not least, Mount Pleasant High School, Michael Payne and Osmond Begg.
Hello, and thank you for your time this evening. Unfortunately, Osmond Begg was unable to attend this evening as, well, he, to be quite frank, applied to more colleges than Common App would even allow, and he is currently hearing back from Princeton and the University of Rochester and will have to travel to New York over the span of several days to conduct an interview process. So fingers crossed, but he is an absolute academic weapon, and I'm wishing him the best. So I took over the presentation of the team. The Mount Pleasant High School has been up to a lot recently, so much that a lot of it didn't even make the slides due to the deadline that was before this weekend, and with so much happening, like the Love for All Sneaker Ball that just happened this past Saturday. We had so many photos and so many experiences that the Brandywine School District provided for its students that did not make it onto these slides. But the past events include the senior superlatives that were selected as of January 22nd. I won most likely to host a talk show with my best friend, Dylan. So hope that seems applicable to you all. The Black Student Union had its meeting on January 24th to talk about how they see us in the media. And it was very interesting. A lot of students performed skits, and it was very educational for all members involved. The BSD Community Basketball Night was January 24th, and I heard it was an absolute blast. Everybody loves some sports. And our Greek Night Step Showcase auditions were January 29th. So if you didn't know, Mount Pleasant High School has been having this Greek Night Step Showcase hosted by our Black Student Union advisor, Mrs. Pritchett. She is absolutely amazing and has been working so hard to make so many opportunities for Black students and students of color and just students in general to be able to experience Black culture and have more access to historically Black colleges and universities. So one of these opportunities is the Greek Night Step Showcase, where there's food trucks, culture, community, people from all around come back to support their alma mater, Mount Pleasant High School, and just strut their stuff, show off their step teams. I don't know if anyone saw the Usher halftime show, but that's just a little peek into what some of the steppers can do at this Greek Night Step Showcase. So I'm absolutely pumped, and I'm excited to see what some of my classmates were able to come up with for their audition. As for Girls Empowered, their vision board party was January 30th, and that was also hosted by Miss Pritchett. She is, again, amazing with students, and especially with other young and empowered girls, as the club states, because this party was amazing and they were able to use many different clips and photos and just think about life in the future. So it's very inspiring. And the BSU field trip Still I Rise was February 1st, and it looked absolutely fun. A lot of students wore their Black Student Union t-shirts, and it continued to create that sense of community. So thank you. Current events. We are in the midst of Black History Month Spirit Week. So today was Cultural Pride Day, with many students wearing dashikis and other sorts of cultural attire to celebrate. Tomorrow will be Pan-African Flag Day, which includes wearing flags or colors for your particular grade. I know the seniors is Black and is going to be an absolute blast. We typically go all out. Wednesday is Black Love Day, and then Thursday is our assembly for Black History Month, which is always absolutely fun. Ms. Pritchett, again, has so many amazing connections that come in and perform, and it is a great show. So I also wanted to mention that the radio station at Mount Pleasant High School, called Super 91.7 WMPH, which I just so happen to be a part of, they have been using their platform to remind the local community to come out and vote for the BSD referendum, using this model in the middle as a sort of going off point or a visual or mental image for the community to think about when they think about voting. So of course, there were the pitchers and catchers today. Tomorrow will be the referendum. And then February 14th is, of course, Valentine's Day. So a lot of important things that our coordinator, Mr. Wishengrad, has been able to create and get out to the public. We have interviewed several people, including many people in this room, you know who you are, including Mr. Kenneth Rivera himself. So I'm very proud of my fellow radio students who have been able to conduct these interviews and get more information out to the public for this urgent referendum. And also the Love for All sneaker ball happened this past Saturday, which even had a chocolate fountain and was a lot of fun. A lot of students just were loving it, and it was more accessible to the broader public, specifically our special education program, as those students were able to maybe not stay in the overstimulating gym with too much loud music, and were able to go into the cafeteria and enjoy some other activities like bracelet making and even painting. And as for our upcoming events, we also have the Spread for Word campaign, again, the Greek Night Step Showcase, and continued work on the Zen Den by Araceli Scott and Cheney Yates, who are our student leaders in the Student Voice Advisory. They have been working extremely hard and almost got a grant immediately to furnish that room, which is already being used by students to improve the mental health, which, if you didn't know, in the Panorama survey that was taken in the fall, a big trend was noticed was a decline in student mental health. So these two students immediately got to work about getting funding and even a new counselor and therapist to work in that room and make our student community more healthy upstairs. So thank you for your time.
Questions or comments? Great. When you land that talk show, make sure you come back and do an episode here.
Yeah.
That'll lead us into our special presentations for this evening, starting off with Dr. Kutch and Mr. Rivera, recognizing our Samsung Solve for Tomorrow team.
Good evening, President Scroba, Vice President Heller, board members, and Superintendent Holler. For more than 14 years, Samsung's Solve for Tomorrow has challenged public school students to dream, develop, and build real-world solutions to enact positive social change. At every level of the contest, students have the opportunity to gain invaluable STEM skills, give back to their schools and communities, and create lasting friendships along the way. As you know, we, as a school district, have had very successful teams participate in this event. This year is no different. We would like to give a huge congratulations to our Brandywine High School all-female STEM team for not only creating adaptive board games for our students with special needs, but for also being awarded state winners. But before we bring them up and recognize them, I'd like to show a short video of their accomplishments.
Hi Frankie, my name is Malvi. We're the Brandywine High School Samsung Solve for Tomorrow team, and we just won state winners, so we're advancing to the next level of competition, which is among the 50 national finalists.
Have you played Chutes and Ladders before?
Last year, a lot of special education teachers came in, they talked to us about problems they face, and the big thing they said was just like making meaningful connections, like their students didn't really have the tools to do that. There was just a huge lack of accessible toys that they could play with, and that really prevented them from being able to like talk to other students, especially without disabilities. So they told us like we really need something that can like bridge that gap, and so we were talking about it, and I thought about board games because that's something that I've always played with a lot of my friends, and that's how we became better friends. So the idea of just making board games and turning them into something that everyone can play. Oh my goodness!
Today we are meeting with some students at Springer and having them test our adaptable games. It's just a cool opportunity to see the kids in the school now and how things are changing, and even within the few years that I haven't been here, it's incredible to see an impact that I'm making when I come back and giving back to my community.
It's really incredible because normal board games, they often have like so many different like small pieces, and it can be kind of hard for students with disabilities. So it's really just incredible to see that they can make these connections and have fun and enjoy themselves.
I've been a part of the my school club, Advocates for Women in Engineering, all 4 years, and it's just really exciting to be a part of an all-girls team. So hopefully we can inspire like a lot more girls to go into any type of STEM they want to go into.
The fact that there are people and young people with beautiful, incredible minds thinking things through and thinking how they can make things better and more accessible is just truly such a gift. To include them, to accept them in their wonderfulness with everything that encompasses, and to build a world where they can succeed.
I'd also like to acknowledge someone in the audience, someone who helped develop these girls in the first 3 years of their pathway in the engineering program. Dr. Judd Wagner is quite supporting the girls. So this team is now eligible to compete to become one of Samsung's 10 national finalists. We are sincerely extremely proud of your accomplishments, ladies, as one of our 50 state winners. And at this time, we would like to call to the stage the Brandywine team and show you our true appreciation. So Malty John, Isabella Chairmark, Kate McDerby, and Olivia Erskine, please come on up. right, turn around and be recognized. Any questions from the board for these ladies?
I don't have any questions, but I would just like to add to the comments that we are extremely proud of you, especially for opening up doors for in areas of study that are where women are underrepresented. So thank you for being ceiling breakers and you for opening up those doors and inspiring also other girls who are younger than you to look for that. And thank you so much for having students with differing needs in mind. It shows not only your intelligence, but also your compassion. And so thank you for that.
No matter the outcome of the national competition, you've done yourself proud. You've done Brandywine proud. This is great. You've done a great product. You've given back to the community. So in my mind, you guys have already won, but best of luck to you with the national championship. Bring it back home. Keep it here in BSD. I think Ms. Rivera is going to stay up there for another employee appreciation, parent representative recognition.
Yes, at this time, I would like to call to the podium the representatives from Concord High School soccer team. I would like to also acknowledge Principal Kevin Palatinetti for being here in the audience tonight. And as these young men come down, I would like to extend my appreciation for their parents who helped set this up tonight. And I'm going to ask for Director John Reed and Mr. Dave McNulty to also come to the podium at this time. Patrick Petty McKenna, I'm going to turn the podium over to you.
Hello and good evening. My name is Patrick, and we are here to thank Mr. Reed and Mr. McNulty for helping us to create a great atmosphere for the 2023 Friendship Cup at the Raiders Stadium Field at Concord High School. As a junior, this was my last Friendship Cup at home, and having our student body, families, friends, and teachers join us in the stadium that night meant a lot to us. We would like to give Mr. Reed and Mr. McNulty Concord Raiders soccer scars and the Brandywine School District this framed print to commemorate the night.
Oh.
I know the Friendship Cup rivalry between Brandywine and Concord goes back a long time. I was once a Bulldog soccer player myself, so I remember it well. What a wonderful thing for the team to recognize members of our staff that facilitated that event. So hats off. Great job. And next up, turn the mic over to Dr. Jegaday for a proclamation for our February African American History Month recognition.
Thank you. So the Black History Month Proclamation 2024 to the Brandywine School District community and beyond. Whereas the Brandywine School District proudly recognizes February 2024 as Black History Month, honoring the many notable contributions that people of African descent have made to our district, our community, our state, and our country. And whereas we celebrate this year's Black History Month theme of African Americans and the arts, shining a light on visual and performing arts, literature, fashion, folklore, language, film, music, architecture, culinary, and other forms of cultural expression in which the African American influence has been paramount. And whereas African American artists have used art to preserve history and community memory, as well as for empowerment. And whereas the suffering of those in bondage gave birth to the spirituals, the nation's first contribution to music. And whereas the contributions of people of African descent to the arts, as well as history, have shaped and continue to influence today's visual and performing arts. And whereas today and every day, we celebrate African Americans and the arts and encourage all people to recognize and confront systemic racism in our neighborhoods and in the wider community by bringing such to light, bridging barriers with collective determination to fight against racism and bigotry and improve representation of Black people, not only in the arts, but in all facets of our society. Now, therefore be it resolved that the Brandywine School District Board of Education calls on all members of its community to proclaim February 1st through the 29th, 2024 as Black History Month, and calls upon the Brandywine community to recognize and celebrate our strengths and talents of our African American neighbors and celebrate their accomplishments and contributions to the life we enjoy together. Let us stand together in solidarity, and let us continue to fight for a just and equitable society for all, where all people can live in dignity, respect, and opportunity, one that celebrates the many contributions of African Americans to our society and to our world.
Thank you, Dr. Jagedy. Next up, we have Dr. Lawson with a elementary teacher leadership update. Or Dr. Kutch.
It's fine. Good evening, President Scrobat, Vice President Heller, board members, Superintendent Holler, and guests. Tonight, we would like to share with you an update on our work in grades 1 and 2. Again, much like last month, we wanted to emphasize the fact that our path has been very much aligned with the goals set forth in our strategic plan. And that we want to make sure all of our students have access to high quality instruction and the support to be successful. We've developed strong MTSS plans so that students are focused on instruction in a warm, nurturing environment. We have amplified teacher voice and meet regularly so that we may continue to refine the curriculum, improve our instruction, identify necessary resources, and celebrate successes, all in the spirit of continuous improvement. You'll hear more from our master educators tonight. Throughout the nation, states have been turning to the science of reading and have promoted its incorporation in instruction and professional development. We here in Brandywine are no different. Reading is not a natural process. It needs to be taught explicitly. Our foundational skills, such as phonological awareness, that's the sounds letters make, and phonemic awareness, putting those sounds and letters together, are used to build fluency. This also includes building background knowledge and vocabulary, not in memorizing words, but learning their use to make meaning in reading and writing. Each of these key components plays a crucial role in developing strong reading skills. When educators explicitly teach, model, practice these components, they increase the chances of their students learning to read and comprehend proficiently. Last year, we had a wonderful opportunity to hear from our grades 1 and 2 master teachers over many sessions. They had reflected on what they had been seeing or not seeing in their classrooms and identified gaps in the frequency of foundational skills being taught. They said loud and clear that we need to systematically and explicitly teach foundational skills in a manner that is highly engaging and interactive for their students. In addition to that, teachers advocated to expand and enhance writing in the early grades with a particular focus on interest-based writing. A core group of teachers identified resources to address missing elements within our instructional programming. They began exploring and piloting high-quality instructional materials such as CKLA. And as a reminder to the board, CKLA Skills is Core Knowledge Foundational Skills Program. And we've shared that in the past as we've embedded it in our Bookworms curriculum. This is being done in a very interactive way. The daily schedule was adjusted to accommodate these changes, and using kid writing allowed them to build phonological and phonemic awareness into a writing context or prompt, which also developed better reading and understanding. The most impactful is seeing a genuine love of learning from the students and a genuine love of teaching from our teachers. So tonight, we have the pleasure to see all of this in action. So now I'm going to turn it over to Katie Seco, a first grade teacher from Lombardi Elementary School.
Good evening. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to share some amazing shifts within each area of our curriculum that have occurred due to several listen and learn meetings between educators and the BSD executive team. I want you to know how much we appreciate being here tonight as we continue to work with Dr. Lawson and Dr. Kutch to incorporate teacher voice into curriculum and instruction changes that are in the best interest of our young learners. The opportunity to work together closely over the past year or two is a unique and necessary process. It makes us proud to be BSD. One of the most exciting changes to our writing curriculum has been the inclusion of teaching kid writing in grades K through 2. Teaching kid writing directly impacts students' ability to read fluently. Reading and writing, decoding and encoding sounds to form words are directly connected and need to be specifically taught. This is exactly what is happening in our classrooms right now. And the best part, it's fun and engaging, which you will see evidence of in the next few slides. Previously, the daily schedule allowed for an average of 10 to 15 minutes a day, but learning to write takes time and practice. Additional time for writing is essential to the learning process. Students are now spending an average of 45 minutes each day using kid writing strategies that are designed to accelerate reading and writing skills through structured activities, allowing teachers to individualize instruction based on student needs and interests. We have moved away from teaching writing lessons that encompass teacher-led instruction, with a lot of time spent modeling the writing process for the students, having teachers show students how to write without students engaging in the process themselves. Teachers are now structuring writing lessons that provide students with active writing time. Writing is a fundamental way in which our children learn to organize and create ideas, making their thinking visible and permanent. Most importantly, they are loving being part of the process. When writing lessons were taught using a scripted program with limited variety that focused mainly on writing prompts that were connected to fictional text, students were not engaged. Some didn't have the connections to the text due to limited background knowledge, and that was evident in their lack of excitement for writing. Now, teachers are developing lessons that teach students the craft of writing, creating little authors that add details, dialogue, and voice to their work. But most exciting shift in teaching writing lessons is increased teacher autonomy, the degree to which they can make decisions about teaching the craft of writing to their own students, basing lessons off of their students' interests, making students more engaged in the writing process. It is now fun and meaningful. Here you see two young men at a writing center, a student-led choice that they have made to spend time writing on their own because they are excited to communicate ideas as independent writers. One writer is making a list of things he loves, while the other is choosing to write a Valentine's Day letter to his mother, each strengthening their own writing skills while having fun. These young writers are writing independently using strategies they have learned during kid writing lessons. In order of the pictures, you can see students adding detail to an illustration as part of a pre-writing or brainstorming, thinking and deciding what ideas to include in the written piece, using kid crowns, which are illustrations to assist with spelling tricky words such as the star of R or the sir of were. Having students make independent decisions regarding which resources around the room that can assist them with spelling words, such as a student resource binder or the word flipbook, increase students' writing independence. Allowing students to research topics of their own interest is one way teachers are given the flexibility to allow students to participate more completely in the writing process, making it engaging and meaningful. I'm now going to turn it over to my colleague, Taylor Lawson, a first grade teacher at Carcroft Elementary.
Here are a few of the significant shifts that we've made with our reading curriculum. We've drifted away from the teacher leading the entire lesson, and we are seeing more students actively participating during the whole group lessons. Students are more engaged, have greater opportunities to participate, and they are up and moving, learning in a kinesthetic way. For our students to become successful readers, we know they need explicit and systematic phonics instruction and meaningful practice. Our current curriculum allows for meaningful practice by spiraling the skills or being reviewed all year long. We know the importance of phonics skills and the impact it has on our older students' success. With our CKLA curriculum, phonics skills are being introduced at a more appropriate pace than in previous years. You can see in the photo that all students are participating in a phonics activity called chaining, which is a favorite, by the way. I've never had so many students say to me, "Mrs. Lawson, can we please do one more word?" On days when it's not included in the lesson plan, you better believe they are asking us to squeeze in some more chaining. Another important shift is how the phonics instruction is translating into their writing. Not only are students sounding and blending to orally read words, they are incorporating that skill into their individual writing pieces. Our students are so proud to show us these skills. Specifically in this picture, I had a student come up to me and show me how they drew the V to indicate that the E is making the A a long A, or where they put the EE in beach for the vowel team EE.
One of the most exciting aspects of our new phonics enriched reading curriculum is the amount of opportunities the students have to directly apply the skills that are being taught during whole group lessons, allowing them to become independent with their reading. The young man in the middle is reading The Decodable Reader, a book that is written with words that he is able to independently decode. They are words that follow the phonetic rules that have been and continue to be introduced during lessons. Such direct practice with Decodable Reader is providing him with opportunities to become a fluent reader, our goal for each of our first graders. And the best part about it is that his excitement as he proudly can read the text independently. Making the process of learning to read engaging and fun has been the biggest shift in teaching reading. Allowing teachers to bring back purposeful play through incorporation of literacy centers in our classrooms, as seen in these photos, provides the students hands-on, fun, and exciting ways to apply the skills that they are learning. You can see in the first photo 2 young learners using alphabet puzzle pieces to make words. And in the last photo, 1 child is making 2-syllable compound words with a write and wipe puzzle, practicing the phonics skills that were taught that week. The child standing in the back is writing spelling words at an easel, providing an opportunity for her to cross the midline of her body, an important part of child development, specifically with tracking print. And it is fun. Not only are the students learning, they are loving the process. Here's a teacher quote that notes that positive difference we are seeing. I would like to turn it over now to Beth Fernsler, a 2nd grade teacher from Lombardi Elementary.
The positive impacts that we're seeing are not just limited to 1st grade, and I'd like to highlight some of the most significant shifts that we're seeing in 2nd grade. With our prior curriculum, students had intermittent writing instruction. While they did receive writing lessons, there wasn't always a consistent writing time built into our daily language arts instruction. Sometimes multiple weeks would actually pass between writing units. Now 2nd graders have opportunities to write multiple and, in many cases, daily times throughout the school week. Through the implementation of kid writing, 2nd graders are stretching and growing their writing skills in a variety of ways. Sometimes students are journaling, which gives them opportunities to write about topics of their own choice. Sometimes they are crafting responses to texts we read in the classroom, reinforcing their reading comprehension skills while they write. Other times, students are working on mastering specific genres such as narrative, opinion, and informative writing. In the past, writing lessons relied heavily on scripted materials and teacher talk. Kid writing, our new approach to writing instruction, includes essential teacher modeling, but it also encourages active student participation, which makes a huge difference. Teachers are now customizing lessons to meet their students' needs. This allows us to incorporate 2nd graders' ideas, interests, and suggestions. This, in turn, boosts student engagement. Kid writing also gives us more time for shared writing activities, in which teachers and students collaborate as a writing team. These changes to writing instruction support the growth of our students' writing skill sets while also fostering greater independence. Second graders are learning how to evaluate and improve their own writing. We accomplish this through peer feedback and editing sessions. Students also learn how to use tools such as writing checklists, word banks, and anchor charts. All of these modifications add fun to writing instruction while simultaneously encouraging our young authors to reflect and grow. It's rewarding to see how these shifts in writing instruction are resulting in increased student engagement, enthusiasm, and stamina. Now, I'd like to give you a peek inside some second grade classrooms so you can see what actually happens during kid writing lessons. As you can see, our second graders aren't passive students. They are motivated, focused, and enthusiastic. The photo on the left shows students engaged in peer editing. This is a key element of kid writing. Students work in small groups to provide feedback on their writing tasks. They make suggestions for improvement in areas such as word choice, sentence organization, capitalization, and punctuation. The center photo depicts second graders developing writing skills through journaling. This is kid writing in action, when students become authors to share stories, create reports, and express their feelings. They create pictures that convey a message and then craft sentences to elaborate and explain the illustrations. Here's where we see many of our students transferring and applying the phonics skills they learned during CKLA lessons. The photo on the bottom right might be my most favorite photo of all. It features students sharing their work with classmates on the smartboard. This is another way in which students support one another during the writing process. My students are always eager to put their writing on display and read it aloud. The rest of the class takes on the teacher's role for a moment by volunteering compliments to things they have noticed that are done well in the writing, and also offering suggestions, ways that the writer can take their writing a step further. I'm always impressed with the insights my students share with one another. I'm truly convinced that the growth we are seeing with writing skills this year is tied to the implementation of CKLA. This reading program provides instruction for essential phonics and grammar skills, which our second graders are transferring and applying during the writing process. You'll hear more about the positive impact from my Lancashire colleague, Ashley Sforza.
Similar to first grade, second grade has significant changes in the reading program with CKLA. One significant change is the interactive whole group and small group lessons that are being taught. The children get a chance to experience fluency, comprehension, foundational skills, all these areas that best meets their needs in either a whole group or smaller group setting. And the lessons are never the same. So some days they might be in a whole group, some days they might be in a small group, which gives them the opportunity to find their learning style and learn in different ways. Something that is very different this year is the explicit grammar instruction, which is something that I think teachers really wanted, directly naming what parts of speech are and having those kids apply it every day with nouns, verbs, being able to revisit that throughout the school year, not only once throughout a lesson, but coming back to those concepts and actually being able to identify them with reading and writing. Decodable readers are very engaging for the students. They really are enjoying the stories that they're able to access. They're age appropriate, which is nice to see that we're giving students the opportunity to read 2 to 4 pages and then build up that stamina throughout the school year to access longer texts, feel more confident with themselves, and be able to use the foundational skills taught that day and apply it to their reading, whether it's with partner reading or reading with a whole group.
the thing that I think teachers are appreciating with this curriculum is the multiple opportunities to be able to assess reading, whether it be daily through informal worksheets that are lovely and kid-friendly, or at the end of a skills assessment where we can kind of gather more information about students' fluency, comprehension, language, and take that information and implement it in real time and be able to use those assessments to actually apply what the kids need to be learning. And at the end of each skills unit, the nice thing that each unit has are these pausing pages where we can actually in real time say, okay, what do our kids need and how can we pull from what was learned and apply that right then and there to make those changes happen. Students are transferring and applying this language in real life. It's not just in the classroom, but in the hallway. We have at Lancashire little hallway signs that are the names of road streets. And I'll have kids who will point out, Miss Forza, there's a silent E in that name. And it's just exciting to see them take that not only from the lesson in the classroom, but apply it to just life and things that are around them. So we have some quotes again from second grade teachers throughout the district. I'll give you a moment to read them. Now, it's exciting to hear from teachers and how much we are enjoying the curriculum, but what better way to understand what's going on than hearing from the kids themselves. So we have a couple quotes I'd like to read to you from Miss Milne's class at Maple Lane Elementary School. This is Mohammed. I need to think because I have a lot to say. My favorite part of CKLA is reading new stories and learning new things. It makes me smarter. I learned a lot of morals. Oh yeah, I love the quizzes. It shows my teacher what I learned. From Vivian, I like CKLA, especially the spelling trees because we get to learn something new about vowels. Laurel, I like the quizzes. We read stories and answer questions that are in CKLA to see if we were paying attention. It's not all about the quizzes. So now I'm going to switch it over to math.
While our focus as a district has been on reading, writing, and foundational skills, we have also made some shifts in math. Our whole group lessons have seen an increase in the use of concrete manipulatives and more opportunities for student leadership and student voice. We've shifted away from teaching the lesson to the students via computer and have a game-based learning method. Again, students are more engaged and eager to learn. Take a look at what BSD teachers have to say in regards to the positive changes in math. All right, that's enough from us. Let's see our first and second graders in action.
So if a common noun is not specific, what does it mean if something is a proper noun?
Last year, there was a lot of conversation and discussion about some limitations of the resources we had and what could be done to make improvements to better serve our students. So over the summer, there was a small group of educators that were brought in, and we collaborated together to create basically a guide that is built by teachers for teachers.
What other consonant is going to make the E sound?
Y.
You got it.
We noticed that there were some gaps and areas of need, and one of those really big things was phonemic awareness, reading fluency, writing. So we shifted to kid writing, and then we shifted to CKLA because it has such more of a phonics and phonemic awareness focus.
The biggest difference I see is the student engagement first. That piece is evident when you walk in the classroom where they're engaged in their learning. We're using explicit instruction, which we used to do, but now the science of reading is incorporated into it, and it's very evident in all the lessons that we do. There's opportunities for the kids to practice everything through movement, writing, speaking, and listening opportunities, comprehension activities. Let's start by making the word spin. In this program, we do chaining where the students get up and physically manipulate the sounds, the cards, or they do it on whiteboards and write it out. Every student has an opportunity to be engaged. Thumbs up if you agree.
Did they ask a question? No. So what goes at the end?
I feel like this shift to CKLA has been so wonderful for special education purposes because I can find so many areas of access points to be able to provide additional supports for the students. So that's been really great for especially special education students who really need to familiarize themselves with different strategies to help them meet those grade level standards.
So what did we just do? We planned our sentence. Now what do we have to do? Draft or write, okay.
I remember doing kid writing when I first started teaching now more than about 25 years ago. I mean, the research for years has showed us this and that, but I think taking that research, but also thinking about what is developmentally appropriate for a 6 or 7-year-old. And I think that's where kid writing really meets all writers where they are.
Let's go to McDonald's and to get milkshakes.
What kid writing does is it gives them a chance to talk, and it gives them a chance to pick their own ideas, which I think is a big thing for them. But what we're doing is we're providing the scaffolding of keywords to use, mini lessons to use. So if you come across a word that you know, let's just stretch it out as best we can. And if it's okay if it's not perfect, because you do have all those sounds, or we'll go, wow, you had all those sounds right. You missed one letter that you can't even hear. And they're so excited to see what they can do versus what they can't do, because it's not teacher writing, it's kid writing.
We came from, some of the students dreading to write, not wanting to write, writing very little, to now in kid writing, they really get to express themselves. They're writing paragraphs even. But specifically for me, for my special education student writing, I have to say I'm very impressed with how much they're writing and how much they enjoy it. And it's really nice to see.
So I like that you added that because I can really picture.
This being essentially our pilot year, because people tried it in varying degrees last year. This is the year where we're kind of all in. So next year, year 2, at every grade level, the teachers are more confident. They have more resources. Each grade level, we should see gains every year. And that is definitely exciting for our guys that really, they need access to these materials and so they can be successful.
Does everyone agree? They put a period on theirs. That's what I did. Excellent. Thanks, Ramez. When I was asked to provide some input on how I think things are going with our curriculum, it just made me feel like my opinion is valued and what I do really matters. And then not just to be a part of the conversations, but to see some results and positive outcomes of those conversations in the following school year really makes you feel like a valued member of the team.
Good, Journey. Yes, thumbs up. I just appreciate that they were willing to listen to what we had to say and just trusted us as educators.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board?
One quick question, I guess. So first of all, this just highlights, man, how hard teachers' jobs are. So thank you. Second, so how does the transition from kid writing to adult writing happen and at what age group? I love that kid writing concept. How does that transition happen?
Yeah, we can text. So the term kid writing doesn't necessarily mean that the writing that they're producing is like juvenile or elementary or grammatically incorrect. It's basically just that it is a method of teaching writing so that every child can be successful. So if you're a student that can't spell a certain word in kindergarten and you can use a magic line, then you know a word is supposed to go there. And then by first grade, you can take your phonics skills and start to apply that. It might not be spelled correctly, it might be inventive spelling, but then it just continues to spiral and grow from there. And then I'd say by the end of second grade, after they've had their foundational skills and they can spell correctly and know their tricky words, then it kind of just all comes together.
Thank you.
I have some questions. First of all, thank you so much for such a thorough and wonderful presentation. I really appreciate it. I know in the beginning I did definitely have some questions about, okay, well, what is then a student-led activity, but you were able to provide a lot of answers to my questions. First of all, just a question to clarify, are we talking about with the CKLA, we're talking about the Amplify program? Okay, got it. And then we're just doing CKLA in K-2 right now?
Yes, the skills.
Just the skills. Okay. And then we're still using the former curriculum. Is that correct?
Bookworms. Yes.
Okay, bookworms. And then how long have we had CKLA in place?
This year.
Just this year.
We had a few teachers, as you see behind me, pilot it.
Okay.
And so, but this year everybody has it.
And you piloted it for just last spring? Okay, so just last spring. Okay, so with MAP testing, you were able, how many times have you administered MAP testing since the four of you have used CKLA for almost a year now? How many times have you MAP tested the students? Twice. Okay. And did you do like a last spring MAP testing, a fall MAP testing? When did you do your MAP testing?
Well, they would have last year, they would have done a spring MAP administration and then the fall.
Okay.
And then this just past winter, it just closed.
Okay, gotcha. So 3 then in total. Have we, and again, forgive me for talking about test scores because I don't ever want anyone to believe that what a teacher, the magic that you're doing can be reduced to test scores. But it is something that our community understands very well. So have we been able to see more students who are proficient and advanced or moving from basic? Have we seen growth? What have we seen with those MAP scores?
In terms of testing, more specifically with the Dibbles assessment that we gave, because that does test more of a just phonics skills, specific phonics skills. And since it's a phonics program, last winter to spring, that was presented to the executive board last year. There was a tremendous growth in like nonsense word fluency and our specific phonics areas within Dibbles.
Okay.
I haven't really done.
I only ask about MAP testing because it was brought up in the presentation.
I'll say something about that as well. So for reading comprehension, what is nice about the CKLA curriculum is that with the readers that they're reading, there's usually in second grade questions associated with the story of the day, and they're multiple choice questions, and they provide an opportunity to find the evidence from the book and then actually go back and they have to write down the page number. Whereas in previous years, it's been more of conversation, but this is them actually like learning some of those skills on how to answer a multiple choice question by not just making a guess, but going back and actually picking out that evidence. So I think that's a skill that applies to MAP testing as well.
Have we seen some growth in the MAP test? I think is what I'm asking. Have we seen any growth?
I have in my classroom, yes.
Wonderful.
Yes.
And what would you estimate is your growth that you've seen?
It's hard to say because I think every child, growth looks different for them.
Sure, of course. Absolutely.
Looking at my data, I think compared to the fall, I see a lot of students who are making growth towards their goals. We set individual goals specifically with reading comprehension, but also with the Dibble scores too. That way they kind of take ownership of that.
I don't know a specific number off the top of my head, but I would say that every single person in my classroom has made growth in one way or the other. And what's really valuable is not only the number, but the confidence I've seen a lot of my readers have who maybe haven't felt like they had access to the texts in previous years. And now that they're getting these skills, they actually, are gaining confidence, which is something I think that we all strive to see, and that level of learning is still there.
Wonderful. Absolutely. I absolutely agree. And then just finally, just one last question, or maybe just a comment, actually two last comments. Please forgive me. I just love literacy. So I guess I really appreciate in the video that you interviewed a special ed teacher. I was waiting actually for that. And then I was also waiting for a perspective on how this is being used with our English learners and how it's being differentiated with our English learners. So I was curious about that. And then secondly, this is just kind of more of a comment, for the district in general. I think that what our teachers have expressed in terms of teacher voice, in terms of being able to offer students choice, and to be able to teach skills explicitly. I think that these are not just important things from a K-2 perspective. I think that these are important things from a K-12 and beyond perspective. So, and when we're thinking about literacy, just want to continue to encourage the district to continue to move in that direction. So thank you so much. Excellent presentation. Thank you.
I have a question. Ms. Stock, you were finished, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you, Ms.
I didn't mean to jump in. I just didn't want anybody to leave. So first, I want to applaud all of you for your time and efforts that you've taken, because I know that this is a lot of additional work to your already very busy schedule. So thank you so much for the time, and thank you to the district for allowing them the opportunity to explore these other curriculums and options, because I think that's really important. I just want to say from a board perspective, it's really challenging for us because you all are the experts in teaching. And so when we have presentations about certain curriculums and programs and things like that, we trust that it is what's in the best interest of our students. I can tell you right now, I see your energy and confidence, and it's different than it has been in previous programs, curriculum presentations. So I really believe that this path is a positive one, and I can see it in your presentation and in your body language today. So the other question that let me go to my notes that I was taking. So I guess one of the questions that I have that I want to presume is happening, but I don't want to assume that, is that your classroom environments are having potentially fewer disciplinary issues. That wasn't a part of the program, but I would feel like that would be what's happening when you're giving power to the students, that they're stepping up in their behaviors. Is that correct? Okay.
Writing. I feel like a lot over time with writing, a lot of the kids, I used to hear in the past, oh, I don't want to write, or do we have to write about this? But giving them that choice, like I've never heard so many children say, I'm excited to write today, or I can't wait to get to my writing journal. So that alone takes away a lot of the behaviors because they want to learn.
Well, yeah. And I hope that carries over throughout the day to create a classroom environment that's more positive than you've seen in the past with the more scripted, rigid curriculums that we've had. So thank you for all of you, but also to administration for supporting and listening to make the change.
Yep, similar to what Ms. Pigeon was. I'm sorry. Were you done, Ms. Pigeon?
Yeah, I'm finished.
Just to piggyback on that a little bit, first I want to acknowledge the work that you put in, and it takes courage to speak up when you recognized a problem and you wanted to address it. And I know that's not always an easy thing to do. And I want to recognize, the administration, Dr. Kutch, Dr. Lawson, for being receptive to that and exploring the idea. And, I think post-COVID, this is coming at a perfect time. I mean, we're always trying to improve and keep our focus on the proficiencies and, keeping a student-centric results in mind. And I think the videos show that, you are making breakthroughs. They are receptive to it. And I think not just students are receptive, but like Ms. Pigeon said, the energy level is different from any kind of curriculum presentations we've seen. So to me, that all seems to indicate good things. We're communicating as teacher groups, administrative groups. We're collaborating to, get to the right solution for our students. So thank you again for the presentation and the work that you do with our students every day.
So just a few comments. First, my grandmother had a saying that said, confession is good for the soul. So I'm going to confess that I was that kid that went writing. Ugh. And my mother was an English language arts teacher, which made it even worse. What I love about your presentation, we've been going out night after night doing presentations about the referendum. And part of those presentations have focused on our amazing teachers and the professionalism of our staff. And this just exemplifies the fact that, and you heard it was a collective collaboration, right? Everybody coming to the table with their ideas and working together to implement. And as I watched that video, that one-on-one or small group instruction, I couldn't help but think about the impact of doing that during COVID, when kids were in their living rooms, their bedrooms, their dining rooms, and didn't have the advantage of that kind of classroom. We know our students took a hit in terms of learning. And as President Scrobot said, part of our strategic plan really focuses and emphasizes continuous improvement and looking to our master teachers. So on behalf of the district, thank you for being a master teacher and for having that interest. Also, as Ms. Pigeon pointed out, the work ethic to see this through for the benefit of our kids. We've been asked a dozen times, what are you doing differently? Tune into a board meeting, and every meeting you'll hear what we're doing differently in order to raise those proficiency rates. Excellent example of doing just that, focusing on growth. And if we do that, those proficiency rates will come up where we want them to be and surpass where we've been in the past. Thank you.
Thank you.
Class dismissed. Superintendent Holder, why don't you stay on the mic and give us your superintendent's report?
Would love to, Mr. Scrobot. Mr. Scrobot, Board of Education, members of the audience, it's been a busy month since our last board meeting. As we head into the second half of the school year, I'm excited to share my report with you this evening. We're beyond excited that our very own Brandywine High School STEM team, which has already been celebrated tonight, has been celebrated as Delaware State winners. The all-female powerhouse of students of Olivia Erskine, Catherine McDerby, Izzy Chairmark, and Malty John are headed to the national competition to showcase their adaptive board games invention. Their device allows children and adults with fine and gross motor challenges to engage in board games with their friends and families that would not have otherwise been possible. You may recall that our graduating seniors from Brandywine High won the national competition last year, and one of those members from last year's team was Anon John, which is Malty's brother. So talking about keeping it in the family. So in our presentations around the referendum, we've shared several times that our success last year with the Brandywine High School STEM team was not a fluke. that consistently over the course of the past 7-8 years, the Brandywine School District has led the way in terms of not only the state of Delaware, but even getting into the national competition. This little chart behind you shows the, I'm going to say, dominance of the Brandywine School District in terms of the Samsung Solve for Tomorrow Challenge in the state of Delaware and on the national stage. So some stats there that prove it wasn't a fluke last year. We've got it going on in Brandywine.
If I could interrupt you for 1 minute, looking at this list. If it's not already there, I'd like to propose we get some banners in the gymnasium to recognize some academic state winners here in conjunction.
Pop the collar and snap the cuff. I think you're right on track. Celebrate those other award-winning, amazing feats of our students. We ought to do the same here. Thank you. Great idea. Congratulations to BHS College and Career Counselor Susan Holman, who was recognized as Delaware National Guard's 2023 Educational Partner of the Year. Recognized before her colleagues, Susan was honored for her tireless efforts in fostering community partnerships to provide access for all Bulldogs as they work to explore post-secondary options, including college, career, and/or military service. Susan, thank you for helping our students be all that they can be. Concord High School senior Rochelle Patel, who you saw present earlier, has been named a candidate for the 2024 U.S. Presidential Scholars Program. How elite is this accomplishment? Consider the fact that only 0.1% of high school graduates this year will receive this recognition. Scholars are selected on the basis of superior academic and artistic achievements, leadership qualities, strong character, and involvement in community and school activities. For those of us that know Rochelle, this award is not a surprise and simply validates the outstanding talents and abilities that he has consistently demonstrated, not only for Concord High School, but on behalf of the Brandywine School District. Congratulations, Rochelle. Congratulations also to Mount Pleasant High School's Isabel Salvatore for winning the Delaware Online Athlete of the Week for the January 15th. All 3 BSD high schools have now had an Athlete of the Week winner since December 18th, 2023. Big congratulations, you already heard about it, to Brandywine High School's Rachel Bachrath for qualifying for the U.S. Olympic trials this summer in the 100-meter freestyle. Rachel trains and competes year-round and will be attending The Ohio State University on scholarship next school year. Congratulations again, Rachel. It was a BSD sweep on Saturday, February 3rd, as each of our 3 high schools' boys swim teams took top spots in the 200 and 400 free relay at the Blue Hen Conference swim meet. Concord High School came in first, Brandywine came in second, and Mount Pleasant High School came in third. Concord girls swim team and Coach Warmus also took first place at the Blue Hen Conference Championship. Congratulations to Mount Pleasant High School students Isabel Salvatore, Kylie Perkins, Elizabeth Bacon, and Grace Schneider for being named Blue Hen Conference champs in swimming, in addition to the Mount Pleasant High School boys swim team, who were named Flight A champs. The hard work, dedication, and relentless pursuit of excellence by these student athletes and teams have truly paid off, showcasing the spirit of the BSD school community. All schools across BSD are recognizing Black History Month by celebrating the accomplishments by African Americans throughout American history. Here's a few examples spanning elementary through high school. Carcroft Elementary School Choir commemorated Black History Month with a performance of Lift Every Voice and Sing for their peers. This iconic hymn was first publicly performed in 1900 by 500 children at the Stanton School in Jackson, Florida. Tally Middle School has created a wall-sized periodic table of Black history that features famous African Americans from a variety of backgrounds. And Brandywine High School and Mount Pleasant High have kicked off Black History Month together by participating in a book discussion of Let Us Descend by author Jesmyn Ward at the Wilmington Library. On Sunday, February 4th, members of BSD took a thrilling leap into the icy waters for the 2024 Lewis Polar Bear Plunge, benefiting Special Olympics Delaware. Big thank you to everyone who took part and helped and cheered everyone on. Despite the cold, your joy and kindness were bright as the smiles they shared. Kudos to Team Brandywine for braving the icy challenge and raising over $8,000 for Delaware Special Olympics in the process. This month, we recognize the positive impact that career and technical education, or CTE programs, have on students in the future of our community. From engineering and healthcare to computer science, culinary arts, and much more, BSD is proud of our CTE programs. For interested students and families, short videos of our CTE pathways can be found on the district website in the Learning in BSD channel at the top of the district homepage. Last week, schools throughout the district and country recognized National School Counseling Week, sponsored by the American School Counselor Association. An integral part of our school support system for students, school counselors bring a wealth of insight and resources to a variety of student-centered issues. In appreciation of their role they play individually and collectively in the creation of school climates that lead to healthy learning, living, and growing, BSD proudly acknowledges and values the dedication and commitment of our school counselors. BSD has been awarded a grant for the year-long teacher residency partnership with approved education preparation programs. Districts throughout the state were invited to apply for this grant to support the creation and/or development of a year-long residency program. BSD was recently awarded $359,370 to host 12 residents total for next school year at the Bush Early Learning Center, Claymont Elementary School, Tally Middle School, and Mount Pleasant High School. Early impact data shows residencies can impact schools and students by providing a consistent pipeline of better prepared new teachers, recruiting high numbers of diverse candidates, meeting student and school needs by reducing turnover and filling chronic shortage absences, and providing improvement to school communities and classrooms. We hope to partner with the University of Delaware, Wilmington U, Del Tech, and Relay Graduate School of Education for the residents to obtain their certification in the critically needed areas of early childhood special education, elementary special education, secondary special education, and secondary STEM programs. On a side note, in our referendum presentations that we've held over the last 2 months, we've shared that the district has earned $16.8 million in grants and donations. This grant award puts that total over the $17 million mark, demonstrating outstanding fiscal stewardship across all departments and employee groups in our district. Earlier this month, BSD students participated in the State Career Development Conference of the Distributive Education Clubs of America, also known as DECA, D-E-C-A. DECA is an association of marketing students that prepares emerging leaders and entrepreneurs in marketing, finance, hospitality, and management. During the conference, industry judges and DECA volunteers assess and evaluate our DECA students in competitive events comprised of multiple rounds of presentations. Congratulations to Mount Pleasant High School teacher and DECA advisor, Mr. Charles Snyder, who was named the 2024 Delaware DECA Advisor of the Year. Mount Pleasant High School students Bridget Snyder, Grace Snyder, Kylie Perkins, and Peyton Salvador won in multiple categories and have all qualified to attend the DECA International Career Development Conference in Anaheim, California this April. Overall, BSD had 16 students earn first place finishes, 9 second place finishes, and 8 third place finishes in the state competition. Congratulations to all of our DECA students on their outstanding accomplishments. A complete list of all the competitions and winners can be found on our district website. The source of the menthol and Bengay aroma in our schools on Thursday, January 25th has been traced back to the BSD's first annual community basketball night held at Mount Pleasant High School the night before. Teams of staff members from schools dusted off their Air Jordans and a few Chuck Taylors to go head-to-head in staff versus staff basketball games between schools. Cheered on by an incredible crowd of school cheerleaders, students, parents, and community members, the gym was alive with energy, camaraderie, and an overwhelming sense of community pride. Thank you to everyone who came out to support, making this night not just a game, but a celebration of unity and community spirit. On January 24th, BSD held our annual Choir Fest. This event was a vibrant celebration of musical talent, bringing together choirs from schools across the district. Students from our elementary, middle, and high schools participated, demonstrating their vocal abilities and hard work. The festival not only celebrated the musical talents of the students, but also fostered a sense of community and camaraderie among our schools. February marks the month-long celebration of Love the Bus, a time to show gratitude towards the dedicated professionals who ensure the safety of our students on their journey to and from school. This initiative is a meaningful way to recognize the diverse group of individuals who make the yellow school bus experience possible for students. Last week, a special visitor, Dr. Mark Holodick, Secretary of Education, joined district leaders recognizing the wheels that keep our school community moving along, our drivers and transportation staff. Superstars in Education, sponsored by the Delaware State Chamber of Commerce, is charged with recognizing educational programs for innovation and impactful programming. These programs contribute to the development of our workforce by creating opportunities, solving identified gaps, and equipping students with career-ready skills and training. Through the publicity given through this award, the hope is that programs will be replicated in other schools and industries so that we as a state continue building talent pipelines. Pleased to report that the Brandywine School District is currently a finalist in the category of high school program for their design and engineering pathway that has embraced human-centered design. Focused on serving clients with special needs, their mission is to create inclusive solutions that enhance accessibility and empower individuals. Each design challenge is approached with empathy at its core. Whether it's designing assistive technology devices, creating adaptive technologies, or developing inclusive learning tools, our BSD teams combine technical expertise with compassion and compassionate understanding of our clients' needs. Our students learn to consider various perspectives, leading to more inclusive and thoughtful designs. Overall, the outcome of students participating in creating devices for special need clients go beyond technical skills. They encompass empathy, social responsibility, and a sense of purpose, benefiting both the student and the community at large. We are hopeful as we move forward to the next round of review. We will certainly be recognized as superstars in education, we hope, and hope to report back to you in a month or two on that status of that award. And with that, we'll end this evening's superintendent's report with this month's sizzle video. Enjoy.
All right, you ready, friends? All right, so first what we're gonna do is we are gonna start at the top. My name is Nicole Young-Wallace. I teach kindergarten. I started teaching in 1993, and I was living in Florida, and my husband got a job transfer to Delaware. In October, the end of October 2016, Brandywine School District called me and asked me if I would take the position of a long-term sub. I said yes. I was at Kharkov, and the principal came to me a couple weeks later and said, "You're not a substitute, you are a teacher. I've called the principal at Hamby Elementary. You need to apply." And I did, and I received the job, and I've been here ever since. It's time for books. Yep, good job. It was interesting because I didn't know Brandywine School District. I did not know the Hamby Way. I quickly learned, and I had an amazing group of students and parents. Oh, I wonder what they're doing on page 5. I've been the team leader for kindergarten since I've been here. I resigned from being team leader this past year because I had double foot surgery over the summer. So I decided August of 2022 that I was going to go back to school and get my master's. And when I say go back to school and get my master's, I mean I was going to get my first master's after teaching for 30 years. Something about this school piqued my interest. I heard another teacher had gone to WGU, Western Governors University. The master's that I have is in curriculum instructional technology. So my capstone project was all about teaching teachers how to teach kindergarten and first graders how to code. We're missing something here. QRS. I love that I've made connections with students and families. At the beginning of every year, I always think about my why. Like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? And 2 years ago, there was a student who came to my kindergarten class, and the mom was worried because she had just recovered from cancer. And she was worried about her coming to school. And the nurse told me about it, and the nurse said, this was her name was Natalie. She's recovering, she's in remission. She had rhabdomyosarcoma. And I said, what? And she said, yeah. And I said, she's like, what's wrong? And I said, as a child, I had rhabdomyosarcoma. Every day she couldn't go outside in the sun. So then I said, hey, I feel like you and I should get matching hats for recess. And I was like, you're brave, you're amazing, let's rock our hats. So every day I'm here to support my little girl. And it was an amazing connection. Yeah, I was just gonna say that, yes. That is an exclamation point. Who remembers what that tells you to do? I'm proud to be BSD because a principal took a shot and a substitute. And I really realized that when that opportunity opened up doors, like I realized that I was BSD.
Passionate, dedicated educators. That's what we're about in Brandywine, and just one more reason why I'm proud to be BSD. That's my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Superintendent Huller. Any comments or questions from the board? Yep. Hearing none, we'll move on to public comments section. We do not have any Zoom comments or any signed comments in the room. So we will move on to board liaison reports and updates, starting with DSBA Executive Board, Mr. Ackerman.
The executive board will meet in early March. Moving down to the legislative committee, we met on February 7th. We should have the minutes from that meeting and the DSBA's position on the bills as taken by a vote. I'll get that out to the board members either through board docs or directly emailing to you.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Ackerman. District Finance Committee. I did not make that meeting this week. I was out with the superintendent doing the referendum roadshow at Maple Lane and Lombardi that evening. But I did get an update from our CFO. Just to touch on a couple points. This was the board met twice since our last board meeting, since it was early January. They met on January 10th and reviewed the monthly report and the fiscal 24 final budget. On February 7th, they reviewed the February financial position report and also the district monthly finance report. And the next meeting is scheduled for March 13th. And I just wanted to take a minute to recognize while we're here, the efforts we've talked about throughout this, well, throughout the year, we always talk about our district finance committee, but certainly during the referendum time, their community service shouldn't go unrecognized. And as the board and members of the school district have been out attending civic association meetings, PTOs, PTAs, athletic groups, anybody that would hear our message this month. We've also had tremendous support from our district finance committee, none other than the chair himself, Honorable James Hamby, who's here with us tonight. And also Chuck Landry and Chris Milionis have been out at several meetings, kind of giving their piece of, what they do as community members on this district finance committee and the oversight that they provide, lending voice to our community in making recommendations to the board. So thank you all for your service. Thank you, Mr. Hamby. Thank you, Mr. Landry and Mr. Milionis. Health and wellness, Mr. Heller.
There has not been a meeting, as all hands were on deck to support the community referendum presentations.
Very good. And Mr. Heller, Maintenance Advisory Committee.
Also has not been a meeting. The next meeting is scheduled next Tuesday night, the 20th at Mount Pleasant High School.
Great. Parents and Citizens Advisory Committee, Ms. Stock.
Yes, the Parent Citizen Advisory Committee met on January 25th at Mount Pleasant Elementary. The three co-chairs, Ari Rosario Carpenter, Katie Seco, and Lori Yagubian, led the meeting that focused on safety initiatives in the district. We learned a lot from both the technology aspect, personnel, and structures involved in ensuring safety of our students, teachers, and staff. Our next Parent and Citizen Advisory Committee meeting will be held again at Mount Pleasant Elementary at 5:30 p.m. And that date is, I meant to write that down. It is, I want to say in March, but I will have to hold for, I will get back to you when that date is.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Stock.
21st, March 21st. Thank you so much.
3/21. Very good. Thank you. Parents Council for Students with Disabilities, Ms. Pigeon.
So actually, I was at a referendum meeting and Dr. Jaggedy was there. So at the last meeting, we started out with a presentation about the referendum. It was a great opportunity for parents to ask questions and to really get an understanding of what the referendum was and how it would or how it might affect their particular population. We had some great questions. And then the parents who attended both in Zoom and in person broke out into groups because at the previous meeting, they had identified priorities for the school year. So at the last meeting, the parents broke out again and sort of reviewed what the priorities were, and parents were given information to discuss transitions. So the main topic was, what is really important when students transition to new schools. One of the parents, some of different things came up, which were really insightful. One parent brought up how having her child visit the new school during the school day in the spring with his current staff to see the new school, et cetera, was really important and helpful. Another parent asked about whether or not parents could pick the school their child would attend. And then one of the parents brought up the idea of having the transition meeting prior to the student actually going to the school, as opposed to after the student gets to the new school. Some of the other things. And so there's really good comments here. There was a comment about the importance of that the staff members at the new school can really play in helping set the atmosphere and the foundation for the student when they transition. So it looks like this was a really good exchange of parents, and it looks like there's going to be some action items that they have to follow up in terms of trying to implement some of the things that were suggested at that meeting.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Jaggedy. Is there a next meeting schedule?
The next meeting it is, but I need to look and see what that date is.
April 21st, 22nd. My contacts aren't working. 23rd.
April 23rd. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Wilmington Learning Collaborative update, Reverend Dickinson.
As we continue in our planning year, the WLC continues the work that has been assigned to us. since our last meeting, we have been focusing on partnership mapping. What we discovered was that of our WLC schools and our partnerships, there's been not been a consistent way to vet existing partnerships found in the WLC schools. So we'll be looking to put parameters around those partnerships, and most importantly, an evaluation process to ensure that the partnerships that we do create and maintain, that those partnerships are making an impact on our students. We've also in the process of we will be assessing our existing committees. At our last meeting, we discussed some of the committees that we created upon embarking upon this process are now obsolete, as we are adding staff to the Wilmington Learning, as Dr. Burgos has hired Director of Operations and the Director of Education, Educator Pathways. Some of the duties and responsibilities that the committees were tasked with are now being completed by the current staff. So we're looking to revamp our existing committees. We are also pleased to invite the BSD community to visit our landing page, which is WLC-DE.org. Again, it's WLC-DE as in Delaware.org. An official launch of our website and overall branding is scheduled for sometime in May. So we're looking forward to that. And a big push from the community was to have a central location for latest updates. So at this time, that website, that landing page is live. And so we're inviting the BSD community to sign up for the latest updates. The summer programming for our WLC schools continues to be a priority for our district partners and our state education leaders. We're currently working with our district liaisons to finalize programming, which include enrollment, scheduling, curriculum, tools, and locations. And so that information will be forthcoming. And then finally, Dr. Burgos will be meeting with the Joint Finance Committee on Wednesday at 11 o'clock. And so we're asking, again, the BSD family and community to make public comment in support of the continuing work of the WLC. Our presentation will include an overview of the WLC and an alignment document, which delineates the focal areas of the Reading Consortium versus the WLC. And in addition to our priorities and what we intend to do for the rest of our planning year. Members of the public who wish to provide a comment during the hearing can do so in person or virtually by registering via Zoom. The link can be found on the General Assembly's public meeting calendar, or can be submitted to JFC_comment@delaware.gov. Again, that address is JFC_public_comment@delaware.gov. Our next meeting will be next Tuesday, February the 20th at Lewis Elementary School. And that address is 920 North Van Buren Street in Wilmington, Delaware. Members of the board, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Reverend Dickerson. Two quick questions. Is the JFC presentation a request for additional funding?
Yes.
And will the WLC.-DE.org page, will the Department of Ed still maintain any kind of presence, or will they redirect from their site?
It's the intent that they would redirect to the WLC website.
Great. Thank you very much. 91.7 WMPH. No new updates or comments or meetings scheduled. but tune in and listen to some great student programming. Any additional board member reports? Nope.
Can I
Here.
just, I'm sorry, can I just add something? Mr. Holler, when at the basketball game, the activities within the district, I know that Howard Laws was one of the coordinators or was the coordinator of that program. And I just want to say it was awesome. Your pictures show the events, but the entire event, the two different games, it was a lot of fun for the community. And like in the same, I guess, realm as the elementary basketball league has grown, I really hope that that continues because it was really a neat experience. It was fun. And I think as if it were an annual event or something that it will grow and just, it's just a great time to have fun together.
Yeah. I don't know who had more fun, the players or the fans, because it was a good time.
Yeah. Thank you to Mr. Laws.
Thank you, Mr. Laws, and thank you, board members, for your reports. With that, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, Ms. Stock. Second, I'll give the tie to Mr. Ackerman. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have a motion to approve the monthly personnel report as discussed in executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Ackerman, second, Reverend Dickerson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Do I have a motion to accept the student matters as discussed in executive session?
So move.
Second.
Mr. Heller first, Ms. Pigeon second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Old business. Mr. Holler, you provide us with a referendum update.
So tomorrow's the big day. We are excited and just going to give, in the event that there are still a couple viewers who don't know what the referendum is about, we're going to give a quick overview and give some additional information today. First thing I want to do is start with a thank you. And that thank you goes to many, many people. First of all, our community. When we first mentioned that we were coming out for a referendum, one of our goals was to have an informed community. Members of our district office referendum team spearheaded this charge, but ultimately it was the members of these community groups that agreed to allow us to come out and present to them and or have discussions over the phone. So I want to applaud the Brandywine School District community as a whole for their active interest in the Brandywine School District's referendum and need. I also want to say thank you to the board. Unbelievable. The amount of support, the attendance in many of these, if not all of these public presentations that we had at least one, many times two or three board members there in attendance with the district leadership team as we presented, and you took active roles. Also, like you saw tonight, the engagement of our students, the really unsolicited engagement. They showed up to our first board meeting in town hall and gave a dynamite presentation, as well as many of our parent groups and parents who have taken an active interest. And finally, President Scrobot already hit this group, but I think it's important to re-mention their value in this whole process, and that's the District Finance Committee. Knowing that individuals from the community take an active interest on a monthly basis to oversee our books, our spending, our finance, and then ultimately to make a recommendation of when it's time for us to return to the taxpayer in this archaic way of funding public schools. With that, I am going to ask Mr. Heller. I'm going to pass the clicker to Mr. Heller. He's covered these two next slides in referendum presentations many times during the past month and a half, and I'm just going to ask him to walk through those slides to inform the public about referendum and why it exists.
Great, thank you. I'm going to lead with my closing point on these slides, which is that the important point here for these slides is that the need to go to referendum is not indicative of any type of financial practices issues or mismanagement concerns. Rather, it's the exact design of school funding in Delaware and the only way that districts are able to realign their income level to match the expense obligations of the districts that naturally rise over time. So that's what this slide is showing here. We all know that expenses continue to rise over time, and that's the blue line here. And almost every other state in the country, there's a mechanism built in to ensure that school districts' income level rises to match that line. But that isn't the way that Delaware funding works. So the way that Delaware school funding works is that a referendum of the community is required to set the income level for the school district. So the district finance committee and the CFO and the board figure out what that income level needs to be, and then ask the voters to approve that income level. So we go out to referendum, we ask the voters to support that new income level, and that sets the revenue level for the district. And then the way that the system is designed is that revenue level can't change again unless the referendum cycle repeats itself and the voters approve for that revenue level to change. So you can see on the slide here that the way the cycle works, it's not realistic to be able to go to referendum every year to keep up with the increases. So we have to plan for a number of years through this cycle. So initially, we're bringing in a little bit more revenue than is needed to meet expenses, which results in the surplus. At some point, the expenses continue to creep up and cross over the revenue line. So then we're spending more than we're bringing in. And that results in us deficit spending. So we spend down that surplus until we get to the point that we're at today, where there is no more surplus to continue to spend down. And that's what triggers the referendum cycle to start all over again. There's not enough revenue to meet the expenses for the next school year. So we go back out to the voters and say, hey, we need to reset the revenue level to meet what our current expenses are again. And the whole process repeats itself once again. So we have a bit of a surplus at the beginning of the referendum cycle, and then expenses continue to rise as they naturally do. And then we are spending more than we're bringing in revenue by spending down that surplus. So we deficit spend for a little bit, and then the whole cycle repeats itself all over again. So of course, the last time we did this was 2016, as we know. And at the time, the projection was that that referendum cycle would last until 2019, until we had to repeat the cycle over again. But here we are in 2024. So how did that happen? Well, Mr. Holler just talked about the fiscal stewardship of the district, and especially the district finance committee, whose role is to analyze all the district's revenue and expenses to make sure that we're spending responsibly and looking for every opportunity to responsibly save money. And then, of course, all the incredible staff and teachers that look for grant opportunities that are unanticipated revenue. And then, as I've been saying, COVID happened, and with COVID came federal ESSER funds to help support the unique needs of COVID that wouldn't have been anticipated in the budget. So those two things combined pushed out that crossover from to where we started deficit spending, which allowed us to continue on the 2016 revenue level all the way until today. So as we know, the District Finance Committee determined that at this point, there's not enough revenue to meet the expense line for next school year. And that's why tomorrow is happening. So not indicative of an issue. It's the design of school funding in Delaware.
So again, we're going to give you an express presentation this evening. So with that in mind, when we look at that 2024 referendum, we're actually talking about what's the gap. Again, we're right now living on a 2016 revenue line with 2024 expenses facing us. The distance between those two is the gap that we find ourselves having. That gap is roughly $6.5 million. To put that in perspective, the bottom line represents $6.5 million. You can see the totals of different local fund budgets currently in play in our district. So our safety and security, total local safety and security budget is that first bar. You can see that it pales in comparison. Even if we eliminated that entire budget, it would only take up a small portion of the $6.5 million. Total school budgets, total facilities, technology, curriculum budget. We're talking about a significant amount of money that will have to be cut across all departments, all facets of programming. Some of those budgets can't be cut. What we spend in utilities this year, we're pretty much going to spend in utilities next year. So some budgets will be affected more than others. But again, you can see the size of that cut. This chart just shows you, again, that $6.5 million deficit that we're looking at moving into next year. And I love this slide that our CFO put together, Jill Flore, because this slide really illustrates the point that you can't cut your way out of a referendum. If we don't pass the referendum, we will face $6.5 million in cuts next year. If that referendum isn't passed the following year, an additional $1 million worth of cuts, in addition to the $6.5 million, will be needed to be cut the following year. The next year, another $2 million out of the budget. Again, the bottom line on this slide is you can't cut your way out of a referendum. That's important to know. Our slide presentation contained example after example of initiatives and pieces of our district success plan that we promoted in our 2016 referendum and our success at meeting and accomplishing those initiatives. Here's just a sample of the few. This referendum focuses to continue and maintain all of those things you saw on the previous slide with an increased focus on the items on this slide. Safety and security being one of the top priorities, if not the top priority. But I also want you to look at that third bullet, attracting and retaining high quality educators. We saw the benefit of high quality professionals and educators several times in our presentation just tonight alone. I want to touch a little bit more on that. These are professional recognitions that have been earned since 2016 by our teachers. 2 Teachers of the Year, 14 content teachers, and we just added a DECA Advisor of the Year to that list this evening. Library of Congress, 3 National Presidential Awards for Excellence in Teaching of Science and Mathematics, the most prestigious math and science award that a teacher can earn. 75% of our teachers have their master's degree. Again, you saw an example of that tonight in the video. In the superintendent's report, you also saw the advanced professionalism, knowledge, and degrees of our presenters during Dr. Kutch's presentation as well. This next 3 slides are actually a year old. They're taken from a report published by the Delaware Department of Education around teacher shortage in 2023. Supply and demand. We can see the educator demand in our state alone is going up annually at a pretty steady rate. The same holds true in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland. Educator demand. On the flip side, the supply chain, fewer and fewer young men and women are going into the field of education. As we get teachers retiring, choosing other professions, they have to be replaced. It is critically important in this referendum that we understand that there is a supply and demand issue existing with educators. And the pool of eligible applicants doesn't exist. It's in a negative deficit already. There are over 400, that's a conservative estimate, teacher vacancies in the state of Delaware right now. We're still trying to gather exact numbers on that. We're working with the Department of Ed. We hope to get those numbers. But there is a significant shortage of teachers. Thought this was interesting. Again, this is data from last year. 18% of Delaware's classroom teachers are within retirement age in the next 5 years. Doesn't mean they're going to retire, but they've met that threshold. 33% of school leaders, 16% of paraeducators. Kind of keep those numbers in your mind as we go through this next slide. These are the numbers of individuals in different groups that will be eligible for retirement in those groups in the Brandywine School District in the next 5 years. At the elementary level, 55% of our counselors, 50% of our deans of students, 60% of our librarians, 52% of our regular education classroom teachers. That's a lot of classroom teachers, folks.
Mr. Holler, can I interrupt you? Is that you 25 years or 30 years?
Who's talking?
Chris,
I can't.
25 years or 30 years of service.
It's 25.
25.
Yep. 25 is the magic mark. Some will wait until they're 30, but that's the metrics that we used. 52% of our regular education classroom teachers, what I should have done is given you a total number of what that would be. It's a significant number of teachers. Add to that 67% of our elementary principals and 82% of our elementary APs will be within retirement age in the next 5 years. Why did I add that? Because as those individuals retire, who takes their place? Teachers, which puts a bigger burden on the numbers previously presented. We take a look at secondary elementary level. Biology, hard to find teachers as it is. 70% of our teachers, biology teachers. Chemistry, 50, librarians, 67, math, 50%, half of our secondary math teachers. Science, that ML is middle level. There's some 9th grade teachers in there as well. Teach integrated. Social studies, 43% world language, half of our world language teachers. Folks, those are significant numbers. Principals, 50%, APs, 50%. Other groups, food service, building chiefs. Now that is the lead custodial individual that runs the building, 70%. Bus drivers, 50, nurses, 62, technology, 57%, social workers, 100%. Now there's only 3 or 5, but still not an easy spot to fill. And the executive team, our leadership team at district office, 75% of those individuals will be within retirement age. Again, who replaces those individuals? Usually it's principals and other leaders, as there'll be a ripple effect that increases the need for those individuals. So our district compared to the state, we're facing even greater numbers in terms of retirements in the next 5 years and percentages than the state is on average. Important for us to remember as we into this referendum. Again, it's important that we keep and remain Brandywine as an attractive place to come and work in the field of education. When to vote? Tomorrow's the day. Whew. It's been a long time coming in a way, and we are anxious. And you heard our students tonight. I love their philosophy. Find 10 people to bring with you to the polls. And we'll put that challenge out to the parents, the grandparents, the neighbors, the friends, the supporters of public education in our district. Please bring people with you to the polls tomorrow. Much is at stake. We need your support. Polls open at 7 a.m. They close at 8. And by 8:30, 9 o'clock tomorrow night, we'll know the results of the referendum. Who can vote? You must live in the Brandywine School District. You have to be 18 years of age. You can even bring individuals in your household that are 18 years or older to vote. You do not have to be a registered voter. You do not have to own property. You can be a renter and still vote. You must be a U.S. and Delaware citizen, and you have to show proof of address. That can be a driver's license, state ID, U.S. postal material with your street address, a utility bill, a rent receipt. All of those are listed as acceptable forms of residency according to the Delaware Department of Elections. If you're unable to go to the polls, you can request an absentee ballot, but this is an old presentation because that is long gone. If you've already requested that ballot, the Department of Elections should have received it. They'll count that in the final total, but it is not an option at this time. So come out to vote. Where to vote? You can vote at any of our buildings except Harlan Elementary School. Harlan is only 1 block away from PS DuPont. PS DuPont has ample parking space, so the Department of Elections chose not to make Harlan a voting location. Every other school in the Brandywine School District is a voting location. You do not have to go to your normal voting location. You can go to any school and vote, whatever's most convenient for you. And in addition to those schools, there's one public library, the Claymont Public Library, that is also a voting site for tomorrow's referendum. Tomorrow's the day. We talk about having 16 great schools, which we do, and proud to provide evidence of that every single board meeting. The reason we have 16 strong schools is because we have a strong community, and that community we implore to come out and keep our schools strong tomorrow, because truly BSD and the quality of programming, the amount of programming that we have offered consistently over the years, we cannot continue to operate on a revenue stream from 2016. It can't happen. We've been accused of making threats of what's going to get cut, and they aren't threats. That's never been a goal. Our goal has been to provide a realistic outcome so that everybody knows that there will be drastic cuts. When we talk about being transparent, have we identified the exact cuts? No, but we've clearly said that it'll be across the board, it'll be deep, and it'll be impactful. For those of us who lived the 2016 referendum that failed the first time, we saw evidence of what was going to get cut. And it hurts. It is not a threat. It is a reality. And again, we want to make sure our public knows that going into the voting booth the first time. And with that, I again ask every member of this community to go out tomorrow, exercise your right as a citizen to vote. I would also implore you to exercise your support of the Brandywine School District, the services we offer the children of this community, the direction and drive of our path forward, keeping it moving forward in the positive direction that it currently is. And with that, I'll open it up to the board for any other comments related to the referendum tomorrow.
Just wanted to add on and thank the board as well for the time that they've put in over the last 2 months in making the presentations. But we also have to thank you, Superintendent Holer, and your administrative team. Education is not a 9-to-5 job, not in the classroom, not at district office. And these last 2 months of the time and thought that was put into the presentations to share with the community actually why we go to referendum and why or how Delaware has structured itself that way to fund schools. And the slide you reviewed tonight with the finances telling us when it's time, to me really hit home. But the board has been out there with you shoulder to shoulder and reaching out to the communities to spread the word. Month by month, we have our public meetings and we share the great things that are going on in the district. We share the challenges that we face and the efforts that we're making to address them and move our district forward. And, in my time as a parent in this district, I've been proud of BSD. As a member of this board, I'm proud to be BSD, and, also thanking our community that we've seen out on social media, dispelling the myths, that have been to our presentations, that are spreading that message of, the facts about how we've arrived to this point and what we're doing in our district and the successes that we're having. And thank you to our students we heard from earlier that have taken it upon themselves to share this message. So I'm looking forward to your continued support in the future. Thank you again, Superintendent, to you and the full administrative team that's been out there putting in the hours as well. So thank you.
I also would like to just add that it has been, no matter the outcome tomorrow, I will say that the attack of BSD at how to run a campaign for a referendum has been amazing. Bill, Dr. O'Hanlon leading that charge. I will say I've never seen a referendum run in the manner in which this one has been done. So again, I'm hoping the outcome is what we are all want to see, but I really cannot say that there has been anything that I thought should be done differently. Really have gotten the message out in an effective and professional way that if anyone who lives in any of our zip codes hasn't heard about a referendum yet by this point, I'm not sure how they wouldn't have. So thank you for that.
No, thank you. And it truly has been a team effort from the entire executive team. Again, DFC, the input of the board, parents, boosters, community members, students. It has been a team effort. And I'll agree, I've been part of several referendums in my tenure of the district, and this has been the most comprehensive approach, doing 3-4 presentations a night, steady all of January and February, including weekends. Thank you, Mr. Rivera. Sundays even. Just amazing efforts by the individuals, and the clarity of the numbers and the madness behind the numbers that Ms. Flore brings, a CFO. We can't underestimate that.
Yeah. I'll add also, I'm very grateful to, I'm proud of BSD. I know we always say proud to be BSC, but the amount that we have been able to display of all the hard work that all the teachers and the staff members do, I think we should all be proud of our students and what everyone is doing. And I'm proud to serve. I'm proud to serve as a board member for a district that really does care about its students. And it's not just heartfelt, there's intelligence and experience and expertise behind it. And so I'm very proud of that. And I want to take a moment also to thank the community members, both in the meetings and on social media. Thank you to everyone who's been willing to learn about the referendum, who has been willing to tackle tough topics. You know, there's been some spirited conversations on social media, and that's part of being a democracy and a community, that we're able to have, you know, these kinds of conversations and be respectful and be open to learning something new. And regardless of what people's opinions are, we're always happy to hear people's voices. So I do want to thank the community members for coming out and for getting engaged. And I hope that you will also come out tomorrow as the final step of allowing your voice to be heard. And I do hope that the referendum passes, because I think it would allow us to be able to make progress in some of those areas that community members have pointed out, and that to continue to build on all the things that we're already doing well. So thank you, everyone.
Yeah, I just want to add that my microphone is off. No, I just want to add that, oh, thank you. Thank you, Reverend Dickinson. I just want to add that as I often talk about being a parent, but I do just want to talk about being an educator and why it is so important to come out tomorrow and say yes. I know that I'm of a certain age where a lot of people I know, their children are getting older. Maybe they've already graduated from the district. Maybe they are graduating in the next couple of years, and they kind of think, well, what's the big deal? Why should I come out and support this district? I think that every single one of us, we have stories about how the district how teachers, how staff members have changed our children's lives. I mean, we all have those stories. And, you know, I just want to urge people, just from an educator's perspective, that, you know, it's not just a threat, that we would have to make some really tough decisions in terms of who would have to be given a letter of not being able to return next year, which would be a huge shame. And if we weren't able to actually keep all of our teachers and all of our staff members, that has a huge impact on the morale, on the workload of the teachers and of the staff members that so many parents in the district claim to love and are so grateful to. And I just would really, really urge not only our existing parents with young children who really have, who feel like I want to see this district continue at the high level for our children, but also I'm also speaking to a lot of people I know whose children are in high school, have already graduated, and all those who have children who are young adults now. Please, please, please come out, support this district, support the educators that have given your children so much.
Great, thank you. And that seems like a good time for Mrs. Wright to close us out with some financials.
Okay, I think it's on. Good evening, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, Superintendent, members of the board, and
our audience. That is a hard act to follow, and it's certainly been all-consuming and such an important endeavor. We're less than 10 hours away now. But equally important is to know that the functions of the district and the finance department have continued. So I have 3 very short but required reports for tonight. And the first is the monthly finance report. Mr. Hanby, our chair, led the meeting, and we reviewed in detail revenues and expenditures. And for local funds, we're at 98.1% received. With the largest outstanding one is just the second installment of the state senior property tax rebate. And on the state side, 94.7. So total revenues received at this point are 96.4%. So we are on track for this fiscal year. On the expenditure side, also on track at 58.81%. And this is for month ending January 31st. Compare that, we're slightly below last year, which was 61.97. So on target with no budgets over. The one thing I will say is this report reflects the preliminary budget, because the next vote will be the board approving the final budget. And so those numbers would be updated for next month's report. We also reviewed the prior year expenditures and where we are with ESSER funds, and consistent with the message that ESSER funds are ending 9/30. We're down to 2.3 million for the remaining months of the fiscal year, and that will be fully expended by 9/30. So all consistent with the referendum planning and modeling and projections going into tomorrow and the end of the fiscal year. The Finance Committee did vote to approve the monthly report for January 31st.
Do I have a motion to accept the monthly financial report for January 31st? Oh, yep.
One question does the June 30th projection, is that on this report anywhere?
The June, it's going to go to the, we're going to talk about it with the financial position report, the third one.
Okay. Then motion.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Heller, second, Mr. Ackerman. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Vote one more time. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Fiscal year 24 operating budget.
The second report is a second read of the FY24 final budget. I presented at length last month's meeting, and it simply reflects the changes in the September 30th count and revenue and expenditure changes. The highlight from that is really a $3.7 million difference on the revenue side and the expenditure side. And the Finance Committee did speak about this because as it relates to the referendum, we did earn an additional 33 units from the state side, which came with additional state revenue. And we also included in the final budget the $1.1 million in the Wilmington Learning Collaborative funding that has come over for the district to be the fiscal agent for. And one thing the committee noted was perhaps looking at when we do this budget, in the preliminary budget, changing the narrative to include a section about the Wilmington Learning Collaborative, because with the addition of $1 million, the immediate question in a referendum would be, does that change your ending balance? Does that change your forecast? And it doesn't, because that is restricted money for very restricted reasons at one school only. So it's not operating funds that become part of, the discretionary pot as opposed to identified funds, but still reflected in the budget. So it was a good discussion on how those changes are communicated. But it is the 3.7 million change on the revenue side and expenditure side, which was a total change of 1.8% for those two reasons. In terms of, and I'll speak to the financial position report, but in terms of the projected ending balance for June 30th, it is consistent with the revenue forecast going into the referendum of 6.1 million, which is a shortfall from the 8.8 necessary June 30th ending balance.
Did the committee have a recommendation?
Yes, the committee did vote, sorry, this was back in the, they met after, this was the January meeting, they met after the board, which was why it was a first read last month, and they did vote to unanimously to approve the recommendation for approving the FY 24 final budget.
Do we have a motion to accept the fiscal year 24 final operating budget subject to audit?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Stock first, Reverend Dickerson second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
The final report tonight is the February 1st financial position report. In your packet, this was the this is the detail part. If we could go to the second one, which is the summary, but it's essentially a short runway of a forecast between now and June 30th. And what is that ending balance? Typically in the finance report, we see a monthly cash flow. This is essentially a quarterly cash flow for the remaining quarters after December 31st. And so it projects what revenue we anticipate to receive. And again, the largest one would be the senior property tax and some delinquencies that come in after, the long ago September 30th due date for taxes. And then forecast what are our biweekly salary costs and expenses per quarter. So this is consistent again, 6.1 million June 30th ending balance. And this one tracks to payroll, to 1 month of payroll, which is really not the necessary need for a June 30th ending balance. It's a state report that's required. So they format it with what does 1 month of payroll look like. For some districts, because they receive so much equalization funding, every district's need on June 30th is different based on how much equalization funds are received. There are some districts that essentially can have a zero balance on June 30th because they get so much upfront state money. But up here in Newcastle County, it's a balance between equalization, and our target is 8.8 million. Again, the same, all of the forecasting information that went into referendum planning and hasn't changed over the course of the year. It's been very consistent. So Mr. Heller, to answer your question, this is that June 30th projection is 6.1 million.
Thank you. Do we need to edit under district to add Brandywine's name there? It says District 0.
Oh. I can add that, yeah.
And did the committee have a recommendation on
The committee voted unanimously to approve the February 1st financial position report.
We have a motion from the board to accept the financial position report.
So moved. Second.
First, Kristen, second, Dr. Jagaday. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Flory.
Thank you.
General information and meeting dates. Regular board meeting Monday, March 18th here at Brandywine High School. Regular board meeting Monday, April 15th, Brandywine High School. Regular board meeting Monday, May 6th, Brandywine High School. And Brandywine School District referendum tomorrow, February 13th, at all of our school voting locations with the exception of Harlan and the addition of Claymont Library. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion, Ms. Stock.
Second.
Second, Mr. Heller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone, for your time and participation this evening. We will see you here next month. This concludes our February meeting.
Thank you.